Welcome to the exciting rebirth of Superstar, featuring choose your membership rate as low as just $3 a month. At Superstar, you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week, unlimited access to special horoscopes, class passes for Synchronicity University, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of July 17, 2022. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. I feel like this is a week where there is inspiration and hope, but also very likely a turning point. Now, that turning point may not necessarily feel easy. There may be power struggles, even power games. They may take place within ourselves, but of course, they can play out in our one-on-one alliances under a sky like this as well. But for all that, we are moving in a direction that feels positively inspired and is ultimately setting the stage for an end of month that is truly special and stand out. That is coming up next week and the week after. And so for now, I feel like the universe is putting things into place. On the one hand, as you begin the week, right out of the gate on Sunday, Mercury and the Sun traveling close together in the sky in the sign of Cancer are both going to trine Neptune. And a trine is a supremely harmonious conversation. And it represents a sense of an easy flow of energy, a sense of blessings, and it is Neptune that has to do with faith. It has to do with feeling blessed. And I see this energy as one of promise. They may be promises we make to ourselves. It may be a sense of spirit providing a lovely filter to our perception of ourselves and of the world around us. And all of these can be very beautiful. But there are deeper complexities that may not necessarily be obvious right away. And this is going to be something to be mindful of when those promises aren't just about what we are promising ourselves, but where it is that perhaps we're hearing what it is that we want, especially right out of the gate as we start the week. Very quickly, though, the energy does change. What happens is Mercury on Monday stands across the sky from Pluto, a type of conversation and aspect that astrologers call an opposition. Just like it sounds, yes, they are opposite each other in the sky. And then on Wednesday, the Sun gets there. Now, it's especially intriguing for the Sun to be opposite Pluto because this happens once a year. And it's the build up to it that is always felt that much more. It can feel rather intense. It can feel like there's a lot coming to the surface in terms of emotion. Wherever it is that we have felt that others or life has not been fair to us, all of that can come to the surface now as part of us acknowledging our deepest feelings. I mentioned power struggles, power games. Given that Pluto is in the sign of Capricorn, some of this can play out in our dynamics with those whom we perceive have power, more power than us, or power over us as well. I also want to put this into context here as well, in light of the things that have been going on in the world as of late. So there's been a lot of social upheaval in Sri Lanka, for example. If you've watched me, at least for a few months, you know I spent 2 months in Ecuador back in the spring. And just as I left in May, very shortly after, the country started to experience social unrest and started having a whole lot of protests as well. And now I'm in Panama City, and here protests have broken out and have started as well. And I find this really interesting that in all these different places in the world now, because of what's happening in Sri Lanka, it is so dramatic that at least we're seeing more attention to it. But there's a lot happening in many places now where it can feel as if the emotion and the will of the people and where it is they feel they want to go is at odds with whom they perceive has the power. This is an interesting turning point because we've been building towards this as a collective for a while now. I think ever since the sun moved into the sign of Cancer in particular, way back in the second half of June. Since then, we've slowly had the sun inching towards this moment that provides a turning point. And that turning point can really go towards the sun or Pluto. And what I mean by that is Pluto is overriding power. The sun is will of the people. And sometimes power and power structures can feel stronger. Sometimes they can quash or contain the will of the people. But just like the clouds might cover the sun is still there, the sun representing the will, well, that will never really goes away. But then the opposite can happen as well. Sometimes it can feel as if there are these victories that happen where the will of the people ends up having an influence on the power structures where they are wanting to participate in those changes. And so we should see a lot of voices kind of come forward now, come to a head. There's a lot of emotion on the surface in many, many places. The sun is in the sign of Cancer. And that, of course, is the sign of patriotism and country. And so a lot of people are feeling that sense of love for their country, wanting to speak up for it, wanting to use their will in support of positive change, or as they interpret positive change as it could be. And Mercury being involved in the mix as well means that, of course, all those different modes of communication that can be engaged are being engaged. But again, Mercury opposite Pluto, I would be mindful because what we have seen, especially last year, I'm thinking about last year, how there were so many governments that with that Saturn-Uranus square, they really were able to shut down a whole lot of protests just by shutting down the internet in particular regions. And so that is a caution, that is a possibility here as well. So of course, we always want to hope that wherever it is that people are moving towards change and social change and change for people, that there is love there, right? There is hope, yes. We've got lots of hope now. We've got lots of faith now. We've got a strong belief. But then, of course, with love there, however it is that different people want to speak their truth, hopefully everybody will be okay in the process. I think that it is a privilege to live in a place where you actually can demonstrate, where you can have a protest, because that's not the case in some places in the world. And so when we see that, it is always a good thing, whether or not we agree with whatever it is that people are saying. And I don't know enough about any of these situations I just mentioned to have an opinion. Something else rather wonderful taking place is also on Sunday, Venus will move into the sign of Cancer. So I'm hoping that that provides a soothing balm of sorts and reminds people of all the love that is within them, available to them, and brings that sense of love and country together with a more gentle approach so that everybody, as much as possible, can stay safe. As we navigate further, what's interesting is that ultimately I think that this energy represents a moment. And that moment will move quickly. The energies start to shift. And they shift when the sun changes signs. Now, before the sun on Friday moves into the sign of Leo, marking the beginning of Leo birthday month. So happy birthday to all the Leos out there. It is going to be a little earlier in the week on Monday that Mercury will move into the sign of Leo as well. And so this to me says that we sort of come out of emotion together and instead really start focusing that much more on heart, on believing in ourselves, on believing in our unique shine. You know, for the last really couple of months, I've been telling you about a course. The course has just started. It started yesterday, and it is with Kepler College that I like to teach, which is YouTube for astrologers. And a part of what we talk about in this first class anyways, we talk about the importance of the sun, what the sun represents in your chart and a business chart. And we talk about how the sun is, yes, your charisma, your will, but it's your unique light as well. The things that you shine that help you to feel good about yourself. And what's interesting is the sun is at home in the sign of Leo. So it's able to bring forward its shine that much more. And it's also now that in at least one area of life, we are encouraged to shine in some way. And so I'm going to invite you to look at your chart. I'm going to put up a sample chart here somewhere. You should be able to see some celebrity example. And if you look at the sign on the cusp, you can see that around, right? And you should be able to see where the sign of Leo is. And so wherever the sign of Leo is, that area of life, that house ruled by the sun and the sign of Leo, means that it's about to get this very strong solar energy. Not only is it now getting focused, but for you, as part of your life journey, this is an area of life where you make gains when you allow yourself to be seen and you shine. Maybe you have to bring in an element of performance, for example. And so it's very fascinating if you are so inspired to have a look at your birth chart, to see and to recognize and to make those connections, how one area of life will say, you want to make gains, you got to be willing to be seen, to shine, to be confident. The more you believe in yourself, the more gains that you make. So with Mercury and the sun both moving into the sign of Leo, chances are, especially with Mercury, wherever Mercury goes, that's what we start talking about. We may start talking about celebrities more, royalty more. Those are part of what the sign of Leo represents as well. So that should be quite fascinating for us as a collective. But of course, where is it that you are a star in your own right? Well, that should start to come into focus at a time like this as well. What I'm especially encouraged by, though, is the energy at the end of the week. Mercury trines Jupiter. This is big. Mercury in the sign of Leo is going to speak in supreme harmony with Jupiter in the sign of Aries. These are both fire signs that are highlighted here. And to me, I see this as a sense of elation based on the news or the information that finds us now in our own lives, but collectively as well. Now, I was actually contemplating this as I was looking at this. I was thinking, yeah, like people are talking about things that are bringing a lot of joy and bringing a lot of good news. But I was remembering way back in the day in graduate school at the University of Kent in England, every year they would have, I think they had two sort of conferences that took place, one big one and then one more regional one. And in the big conference that would happen sort of in the early part of the academic year, it was focused on cosmology and divination. And so you'd get people from like literally universities all over the world coming and presenting their studies. And so I remember this one presentation. I don't remember the dude's name, okay? He was a professor somewhere. And he was talking about how he went to some area in South America to observe how people in a modern contemporary context use divination. And he spoke about how he went to see these people show up, and they were people who were about to do a drug run. That's what he was saying. So they were about to, like, you know, smuggle some stuff north. And basically they came to the divination, they came to the diviner to ask if it would go well, to ensure that they could choose the right day so that they, you know, wouldn't get caught and they would be prosperous and they'd be able to make their delivery and collect their money with ease. And I thought about how to them, being able to do all that is good, right? That is their intention. That is what they want. And of course, I know, like, not talking anything about the politics or anything around drugs or anything like that. I'm just talking about this particular instant and this particular context. And then that, of course, leads us to think about what else is maybe some people think is not ethical, maybe is not legal, but there may be one party that thinks that if something were to happen, this would not be good, but another party that thinks if that exact things happen and they are in that exchange, that would be really good for them, but maybe not good for this person. And so where does the harmonious aspect come in that case, right? Who has the good news? Who's going to benefit from this? So I thought that that was a really interesting contemplation to make. One thing is for sure, right now Jupiter is in Aries. Nobody is really doing anything they don't want to do. You can't tell anybody what to do. People are all about what they feel, their impetus, their truth. And that is what is the guiding force for a lot of people in all kinds of contexts right about now. But also with the energy of Leo as well being highlighted here, it brings us to the heart that much more. And so it brings us to that sense of not just the truth of what we want and what we feel in a moment, the truth of our impulse, but also a deeper truth of what we know to be true about ourselves, within ourselves, and feeling like we can embody that and be that. But with Mercury, to speak that truly is part of the gift of this time. What I love about this week for us, well, there's so much here. What a powerful astrological moment this is, without a doubt. I am going to say I love that energy at the end of the week. I really think that is setting the stage for next week's very powerful new moon. I mean, to give you a little bit of a preview, next week's new moon is perhaps one of the most fortunate new moons I have seen in a while, certainly this year. There are all kinds of beginnings that are promised here that just lift us and propel us forward in a way that I think we really are going to like, that fuels us with confidence. And then at the beginning of the following week, we have, of course, the very rare Uranus-Mars North Node conjunction that is set to take place. That is really one of these aspects that can change so much for us very, very quickly, can align us with a path of greater love and greater wisdom. Even if it takes us a moment to adjust, we become aligned with an accelerated path as part of that energy. And a whole lot of us are going to feel an important shift. We are building towards that. On a soul level, we know that that is right around the corner. And so this week, in some ways, is about allowing emotion to rise to the surface, acknowledging our fears, acknowledging the desires we may have to control, and recognizing the limits of that. And in facing all that emotion, we're able to move through it and find some other truth on the other side, something deeper, more meaningful for us. We're able to then acknowledge the depths of what we feel about given situations, and especially about given alliances we have in our lives. And we get to figure out whether or not it's working for us. With Uranus being activated at the end of the month, and we are moving towards that, we are feeling that. We're also feeling that configuration in square, within orb of a square, to Saturn as well. This is a very powerful time. Yes, midweek, there's a whole lot stirring within us as we're looking at the things that perhaps were not fair in our lives or in our current context, in our one-on-one alliances of the past and the present. But we know on a soul level that we are preparing to leap into our individual and collective future. And that ultimately is something that is just underneath the surface, giving a whole lot of excitement and a whole lot of hope. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys, and to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up, who hits the notification bell. All of it means so much. Thank you so very much. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. Higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Link is in the description below. Synchronicity University is so proud and excited to announce the September speaker series. And for a very limited time, you can choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class to learn from these world-class astrologers that I'm so happy to have you learn from and have you be inspired by, and for me to learn from as well. It's going to be so much fun this September at Synchronicity University. Our incredible speakers include the one and only Colin Bedell. Colin is back. He is a superstar in astrology now with Queer Cosmos. People love him online. He has the most amazing content. You really should check him out, especially on Instagram. And you can see this expertise and heart and love that he brings to his work. And Colin loves looking at astrology and relationships. He's going to be talking about relational intelligence and teaching it as only he can. And so I think you all, and really anybody who attends this class, myself, I am really going to enjoy this so very much. We have the incredible Yuriria Robles. Now, Yuriria and I wrote a book way back, not that long ago, but called Mayan Astrology. She is a world-renowned expert on Mayan astrology, but this time she's going to be teaching on another subject that she's been published on and she knows so much about. She's spoken around the world about the part of fortune, a very popular topic. So her class is going to focus on the part of fortune. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. We have my friend Helene of Heart House Astrology. Helene is amazing. She just brings so much love and so much wisdom to the work that she does as well. So I'm so proud to have her back at Synchronicity University again. And Helene is going to teach on one of my favorite topics, which is working with Uranus in your chart. I got to tell you, I am an Aquarian. Uranus is my ruling planet. And so I'm so excited about learning her perspective on Uranus in the chart right along with you. Quan Tracy Cherry is back. What? So by profession, he comes from a background of being a lawyer, and now he gives so much to astrology as well. He has such a rigorous academic ethic to what he brings to astrology, and he's going to be looking at the astrology of raw materials. So this should be really fascinating to look at. And Nicole Garceau as well. I know you've seen her on my channel a whole lot. She is my fellow Canadian and she's so brilliant. And she's going to be looking at degree theory. So it's a very specific technique that she's going to teach you. You'll be able to apply it right away to see your chart in a whole new way as well. So you can see September speaker series at Synchronicity University is going to be off the hook. I really hope that you'll join us, and join us as low as just $5 a class. You will choose your membership rate, an unheard of rate to learn from this caliber of astrologer. So check us out, synchronicityuniversity.com. Sign up now. Link is in the description below. Synchronicity University presents the one and only Acyuta-bhava. He is back at Synchronicity University. You know him as a YouTube phenomenon. He's really one of the best astrologers out there, I gotta say. He's one of the very few astrologers that I will take a moment to watch because, as I've shared before, I don't like to accidentally plagiarize people. I love checking out new talent and giving credit where credit is due. I love citing people as well. I love sharing a stage and giving other people a platform to shine. These are things that make me very, very happy. But yes, that includes not accidentally plagiarizing anybody. That is very important to me. But the way that Acyuta-bhava does his astrology is so unique, but it really has a way of reaching so many people. He brings this mystical, spiritual understanding that is so profound. And I'm really proud to have this caliber of astrologer at Synchronicity University. You get to learn from him at an unheard of rate. Just $5 a class will choose your tuition rate on right now for a limited time. And Acyuta-bhava is going to be teaching about the mystical roots of astrology. This is a mystical look at the planets, the houses, at signs, at aspects, and so much more. It's understanding the chart from a mystical perspective. This is a rare opportunity to have a depth of understanding as to a mystical orientation towards the astrology chart, and seeing your astrology chart from that mystical perspective will really be a unique and new experience for so many students out there. So I really hope that you will join. He is a world-renowned teacher as well. He is extremely popular. Students absolutely love him. He's a brilliant teacher. As low as just $5 a class. He really doesn't teach at that rate ever, but he does at Synchronicity University. with our really accessible world-class astrology. So I hope that you will check that out for a very limited time. Choose your tuition rate. Acyuta-bhava at synchronicityuniversity.com. Link is in the description below. And remember, I am going to be in Denver, Colorado as part of the ISAR conference. You can go to ISAR2022.org to learn more about that. There will be about 100 astrologers presenting there and a few hundred astrologers gathered. It really is a party like no other. And it's the first major international astrology conference in years, right? Since late 2019, basically. And here we are. So I'm really excited to once again meet and hug friends and fans out there and superstars and students, and to really enjoy myself as well. I'll be teaching 2 classes and I'll be involved in different ways as well with the conference. So I hope that you'll check that out, learn something, be inspired, meet your fellow astrology students or connoisseurs, or however it is that you engage astrology. You will find people there who get you. That I can say for sure. Who get you on that level. Now, whether or not you can make it live to Denver, know that I do have a workshop coming up with ISAR Astrology. Now, there's a new date. November 6th is the date. And this is going to be a Saturday workshop. It is a definitive workshop. I'm going to condense, like, the 5 classes I've taught on Lilith are going to be packaged together. If you are a member of ISAR, you get a huge discount. So I hope that you will check that out. Check out isarastrology.org to sign up, and I will link to it in the description below. So excited to talk about Lilith. I really do love her. She's my screensaver now, and just such a powerful presence. These energies, these asteroids and planets are a part of us. They are within us. And so when it is that we're able to tap into these energies consciously, it's like we're able to bring forward the divine within us and live it that much more fully. And that is, of course, what I always hope anytime I teach, to remind you of that divine expression that you are, the expression of love and wisdom that you are as well. So I hope to meet you there online or in person. It would be wonderful. And thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I'm truly so grateful for it. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.